direction, and that makes it difficult. To make this rotation, even in third, one of the hardest things he's going to have to do in this entire game is make it across that ocean. And I don't see necessarily, he has a launch pad, so that's okay. There's possibilities there just to fly across. But man, that's scary.
I think he has a number of them as well, and I don't think he cares about using them all the way in endgame. So this will definitely be the backup that he uses. This time, though, you said a wood box might be on the radar. A fully metal-built box that's just getting prepped, I think, is even weaker than a wood box that's just fully placed down. So he's going to be aggressing for it. Someone just single-handedly in a box as well doesn't seem too smart. And Woes knows. He gets straight to that box, sniffs that man out, and now builds a base of his own. The 1x2 Speedy Gonzalez classic to have a little bit of defense, but then if he switches out, he gets to keep his 3. And he's on the islands now, Balla.
Man, this is a throwback. I feel like I'm watching Mongrel from Opens in World Cup. Like, we got broadcasts back, and all of a sudden we're highlighting the same type of play, man. Every single box, he's going for it. 10 eliminations, there's still 40 people left in the lobby. And he's not letting this guy go. He's already on 50 HP. There's only a bandage bazooka to heal up for this guy, and he's in. Another one. No. Hydra's gone. I mean, seriously, is this not what we saw Mongrel do? Like, he's even using the move. You named it the hook, but that's the Mongrel classic, bro. That's the guy who popularized phasing in the box like that.
I mean, don't be surprised if you might see a few people with a .Z clan tag right after their name after this, because this man's definitely making moves in terms of being an aggressive player, and that's what the people love to watch. Right now, island straight to another island on launch pads that not even he is placing. Might bite off a little bit more than he can chew right now, but remember, there's a free 50 potion 2 boxes below him.
And he's arriving at this island like everybody's prepping for the concert right now. Travis Scott, he's not here, but there is a lot of players for Woes to slay out. And he finds another one. Yes, the free 50 does not care about his own shield because he's just going to get siphoned right after.
Hey, if I'm a player in one of these boxes, I am truly feeling the goosebumps every time I hear this man around me. Because right now, 12 eliminations, 33 people left alive. This is a little bit more of a stacker of a lobby, and he's thinning it out single-handedly. We talk about, you know, why are the open sometimes not a stack? It's because of players like Woes. It's because of plays like this. Another window open, you close, it doesn't matter. The breeze is already in, and it is cold. He takes another one out. Woes on 13. This time, though, a lucky number. My man is on a roll.
Look to the stars, man. This is astronomical for Woes. 13 elimination, it's more. 25, the drum gun still raged true, and even though he took a little bit more on that fight, literally, he could just heal right back up because he's been collecting big pox, yes, in the form of eliminations, but also from the inventory, too.
Oh, man. Performance like this would just leave you stargazing. And now, it'll be Spectic looking to see. Off-brand slightly. A name of himself or a name for himself in this lobby. This is a different POV. 4 eliminations. Central positioning. The classic way to play Fortnite. 7 floppers available as well. And he has a nice tune to listen to. Peaceful, but he's going to be very mean, I'd say, on all these players on the edge. You talked about these islands being the hardest to rotate to. You can't even build all the way out in these uncharted waters.
It's a beach party, man. We're in Hawaii all of a sudden. Things are so calm. This is a throwback, man. Not only did we see the references to Mongrel with the way that he's phasing into these boxes and getting these eliminations, but I'm feeling Benji fishy right now because 7 floppers for Spectic. I think maybe this game might be too early to pull that out. I'm also feeling that this guy probably landed here in Frey Islands because not only the amount of fish, but also as he's been sitting here the entire time. I mean, just probably chilling on these islands. Back to Woes, though. We lose the music. We lose the atmosphere and calm because 15 eliminations. And can I just say that 65 points, this is definitely all from this one game. And we talk about one-game performances over and over, how they push you into the limelight. And he finds another target. Gonna make it happen again. Top 25 is definitely gonna be more points accrued for Woes, as now it's not only that, but placements coming in, and also, he got half in, half out. That 5th zone is his. He just forced somebody
tank.
to launch. In half out.
Again, for the third time. Look at how much gas he has in the tank. Not only that, how much gas he's getting from every other player. He hasn't even used anything but medium ammo and a few wooden builds to get close to boxes, and he's traversed more than halfway across the map and gotten more than 14 eliminations, now on 15, looking still for his 16th as he's basing up in and half out zone. If we're talking about an aggressive player's debut, it's got to be right here, right now. It's got to be Woes. Question is, though, how is he going to play out that end game? How do you kind of translate rotations, you know, with aggressive gameplay? I mean, I could ask the little singing choral there, but it wouldn't give me too much of an insight. We're going to have to see exactly how Woes plays. He's shooting to the low ground right now, still looking for pressure, box to box.
From on down.
But then switching straight back to his old style, does not want to be too far away. And as a result of this, he gets a lot of the mats as well from every single elimination and the full effect of a refresh. It's very good for his overall game.
And something interesting there. Oh, nice. He actually spots that was open. And he does back off as he realizes the player's not in the back box. But how he approached that, he actually switched to wood to get into that fight. Just a quick thing. Okay, I'm going to get in really quickly, switch back to metal when I get there. I'm not spending a hard match. That's the sign of somebody who is the quick. That's Mr. Savage level type match. He's going to drop one right into the box. The floor was pre-edited to make the hole. Goes to now at the second. Already the market that I set for him. Way back is what he says.
And since the first elimination, he has not found a better shotgun to use of the pump variety. I think he's going for the one-off endgame shots.
Is it that he didn't find one, or he doesn't care? Because to me, he has had to have found somebody else. There you go.
He doesn't
need it.
Yeah, absolutely not. If we're just looking at the ways of this, you just need that drum gun. You have 1,000 bullets. What else do you need? What else do you actually need? A pump shotgun's only going to slow you down. This man wants to be sped up now. 79 points. And Zone's just started moving. He has an even more bigger say in these long-range fights with his upgraded heavy assault rifle. We'll be able to finally use one of the launch pads he's collected out of every single eliminated body. Goes still for mid-ground. I'm curious to see if he holds high. Yes, he pushes up. Slightly slow, but calm and methodical. Gets a better position way up high. I think he's going to be looking for beams. No, it's a build fight. Looking a little bit clunky here, but at the same time, I think his prowess is always in this box-to-box gameplay, actually not protecting himself too much. Will have the ability to pop up potions, have the heals, but now has to get his groove on. The classic moves in, still doesn't miss a shot. I keep being worried for him, but I don't think it matters.
No, and he now has that upgraded pump shotgun, so not only does he have Midas's power, he's got the power of the epic pump shot. The one tap to the face is now potential for Woes, and 19 eliminations. Somebody pressures him, he pressures right back. He says, hold on, you actually got to hold your wall, buddy. If you're not going to do that, that drum gun's going to rip your face off. 11 people left in this lobby. Now, after this, every placement will count as an extra points, and I think Woes knows that. I think that he knows every single elim is going to be worth 5 now.
He builds all the way up. There's actually 2 different people fighting for height, so actually having a say on this fight is huge because you take out the entire layer up there, and he goes up close and personal for this next one. Nice block ahead to make it very hard to actually decide where to go to take height on the retake. He actually just turns around, goes straight up, has a huge connection now at the back. That's all hard materials, the metal, the brick, and now has pressure from up top. What a good position straight from the other side. Goes for a reconnect. It looks like no, not even spending any materials, just walking over his opponent's builds. Woes, one of the best positions in the lobby. You asked for a 20 elimination game. Now with 4 people left, he has 21, and he's wrapping things up, Bala. He's looking to put down more pressure, make low ground get lost in the dust. There's one, it's Jones, who he had a say on earlier on. Storm takes him out. He gets the point, and he looks to wrap up the competition.
And how fitting to end at the castle right outside of this map. He's going to sit on the throne after that at the top of the leaderboard for sure with the 114 points he has right now. And then after he finishes this off, yes, he does. In the same way that he started it with the mythic drum gun at Risky Reels, all the way now at the castle. That's a performance that I will remember for sure from Woes.
Dudes, we thought that Mage's 20 bomb was going to be unbelievable and unmatched, and here we go. Woes hits the scene and he's like, look, hold my slurp juice 1 second. What in the world? First of all, I'm not familiar with Woes. Are you guys familiar with this player?
It's rare
Okay.
when I shake my head for that question, but
Yeah.
no, that is not the case in here.
That is unbelievable. Okay, so let's maybe dissect this a little bit. Shayo, what did you think about his play? I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit. When he went for high ground, the builds came out like a little bit slow and a little clunky, but his game sense is there.
I mean, he had a good position up on height. He was taking shots diagonally to get shots in where you can't actually build fast enough if you're actually behind to, you know, relieve pressure. That being said, though, like every instance that he had of aggressiveness was unique. He was in there, right? Every single square, getting shots off. This man, his name says it all. Starts with a capital W, the W key master of today, at least for me.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm actually going to have to cut this off because we're going to go to a break. When we come back, more Fortnite action after this.
একশো মাইনাস খেলছি আমার মানে ইচ্ছা শক্তি মরে গেছে।
তুই মরলে কি গেম খেলবি না? স্কোয়াডে সেই ছায়া খাইছিল, সেই লেভেলে ছায়া খাইছে। এটা আসলে গেম না, বুঝতে নর্মাল ছায়া খাইছে। অনার্সের মানে মনে হয় ছায়া খাইছে। এটার লেগে ওই
ভাই কি বস্তু কল করে ফেললো পুরো।
ভাই ঢুকেন রাই ওইটাই
teams.
Welcome back, Fortnite fam. We're back with more of the FNCS Invitational. I'm your host, Zeke, and joining us for the next set of games, we've got Aussie Antics and Sundown. Now, gentlemen, obviously we are 2 games down. We just watched Woes put up some huge numbers. Aussie, are you excited? I mean, like, I'm pretty hyped. That guy is nuts.
Yeah, that was insane. I mean, we watched Mage do it earlier in EU, now we've done it again. I mean, I'm coming in the tail end, so I think I'm getting more of those kind of higher skill-based matchmaking lobbies, bit more stacked end games, but again, it's super exciting regardless, but that was like a clinic. That was ridiculous. We've seen an NA, and now we're seeing EU as well with the drum gun. It's just, they just walk through everything. They're just walking through people. It's ridiculous. Have you seen it this much, Hard Sundown? Like, are you seeing this play out? We talked about EU's aggression. Now we're seeing it on NA. I think it's just, if you get your hands on that drum gun, uncontested agency, it's just looking like 20 bombs. Like, we've seen nothing else yet from it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a high-impact weapon in early game rounds where this, again, we talked about it in Europe, NA East, the second most populous region in terms of players who come through and end up participating. And I mean, the drum gun, during those early games, I expect it to shred through people. This is an open competition. You're going to be going against lower point scores in those first rounds. If you get a good player who's able to get his hands on it and walk out of the agency, like, they're going to be able to put the difference the Mythic Drum Gun has over the rest of the weapons to that much of a greater use, and then the fact that they themselves are on that higher end of the skill disparity threshold, like, they just end up running over people. We saw it with Mage. Waz did it now. I wouldn't be surprised if we see it again. You can see Illist hanging out there with 146 as well, 130 being the drop-off currently to 10th, so a pretty decent spread across these guys, but still only 4 elims being the difference. Hopefully, as we saw over in Europe, these lobbies will tighten up a little bit for the next couple of games as we start to see the higher point thresholds fight against each other, but not a ton of names on here I'm super familiar with.
Yeah, and there's, I mean, look at this point breakdown. There's only a single point between 11 and all the way down to 20. This is a 2 point from bottom to top. Like, Aussie, this is extremely close, and this is only the first set of few games. Not only do we have another 6 or so games left, but we also are going to have the 10 games tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like the whole page in between. I think one elim right now, that 4 points gets you from like 30, like outside, just out almost 30th to top 10. It's insane. So it's gonna be interesting to see. We've still got games tomorrow. They maybe can change up their play style. It's gonna be all about that consistency. This point format is keeping it so close at the top. It makes it so much more exciting. We've had tournaments in the past run away a little bit, and it's still exciting to watch. But right now, I think tomorrow especially, it's gonna come right down to the wire with these guys.
Yeah, a lot of these players have been putting up quite the performance. Speaking of performance, we actually want to shift gears a little bit and talk about the performance of the game. And to do that, we're going to throw it over to Sundown.
Yeah, so like we talked about earlier this week, we released a little bit more of our competitive roadmap, and we want to keep talking about additional updates to the game. So one of the key things we want to focus on is performance. With 100 people connecting to the game and everyone interacting, building it, editing, we want you to be able to feel like you're able to express your level of skill. In the past week in the 1250 update, we were able to make some performance improvements, as well as make adjustments to server configurations specifically for competitive games, which should help out, and you should see a decent amount of improvements. However, our goal is to continue trying to track down as many issues as possible and continue to address them. one way that you can help us out with that is always giving it your all in arena and other tournaments, and when you run into issues such as poor performance, weird interactions, bugs and glitches, or potentially somebody that you think might be cheating, hacking, or teaming, use the report issue function. You can access it both while you are in game and using the replay mode, and that sends a bunch of additional data to us, which allows us to address problems a lot quicker. We're also committed to keeping you informed of any additional performance updates and degradations as they come along and being transparent with that.
That's right, there you go. Thank you, Sundown, for that update. Now, guys, of course, players are loading onto the battle bus. It will be launching here very shortly. And as we get ready to launch, for the rest of you guys at home, don't forget, today is only day 1. We have day 2 tomorrow. But with that being said, Aussie, Sundown, take us into the game.
Thank you so much, Zeke, and we're hopping right on into Assault. Jay popping an Elim over, and we're over at the Shark, which means Grappler and Sky's Assault Rifle, both in play and already holding on to an uncommon tactical shotgun, which I'm assuming, depending on what he pulls out of the vault, he might end up upgrading later just based off of the resources, because hitting those upgrade benches, again, allow you to kind of eliminate some of that initial RNG that was really present in competitions past.
Yeah, definitely. He managed to make it into the vault with the Sky's AR grappler. Already has big pots to spare and the shotgun. He now has it all to himself. One elimination gets you Shark, and he closed it out that quickly. Coming over to another drop now. You just look at the difference right now. You have one person fighting here over a bridge, and you have another person fighting over 2 of the strongest items in the game. Strastic trying to find his way through the bridge. Has the blue pump. Seems like he's going to disengage here, choose not to fight it. We're getting towards these later games now, or at least not the first couple games, where maybe people are going to start playing a little bit safer. We saw it earlier this morning with Mage. He went super aggressive in that early game, like we saw last game with Moz. But then as he got to the final lobby, he started slowing it down a little bit, knowing you're versing, on average, better players. Nope, looks like disengage is not coming out. They're going to have to juke this one out.
That was a nice little play there from Strastic, honestly, seeing that his opponent was already committed to the ramp up above, and then going underneath and now looking to drop him down. He wants to try and force this fight a little bit more on his level, and you talked about it. It might seem really weird that people are fighting over this bridge, but it goes to talk about the different solo playstyles that are there. Strastic would 100% drop down onto the slurp truck and prioritize getting the shield and then hitting whatever nearby chests he could, whereas the opponent was just looking, probably got forced out of Fatal because of a poor drop, and trying to catch whatever he could on the outside. Instead, the slurp truck priority, as well as getting 1 or 2 decent items off of the start, will give him the rip. But now we're going to hop on board to extort Sparkle, who has the high ground here, and is also holding a utility item / weapon we don't see a lot of anymore in competitive. He's got that C4 out.
No. Yeah, definitely. Used to be able to carry stacks of 3. It was a lot more viable to carry. Now that it maxes out at 1, it's made it a lot more balanced. There's a lot of issues of dropping double on someone's head. It did heaps of damage. It's not too much counterplay. Now they've kind of brought it back to 1, but you can still use this. Like you said, it's a bit of a utility item. He can drop down the bottom now, knock out the whole build. To see, here it is. Might be trying to throw it in. There it is. It goes through the wall. He actually uses it. And like you said, not used to carrying it. The opponent wasn't ready for it, but it's not enough. Sparkle goes down here. Flow FN taking him out. And Misty, it's not really a fight you see too often in Misty at early game, because you have that clear divide with the river down the middle. A lot of people stay on one side, other players stay on the other. They'll loot and they'll rotate, but no, Flo wanted to push over and take that fight, or maybe he got pushed in. Other players regretting it now.
And it's tough because you see the white tag from the C4, you want to go, but with a pump in such close quarters and tight situations, if you miss one shot and the opponent has attack and they're good, you lose. Just straight up, you lose. You're not going to win that. Definitely. He ends up turning around, hitting him with that epic tac shotgun, and he was able to put it away. Now, here's a player I really want to talk about. FaZe Sway, always known as the Creative Warrior, the Free Builder, is actually currently being live streamed on Bizzle's channel, with Bizzle coaching him, being possibly the best and most decorated solo player of all time. Now helping this player, trying to get him to qualify through, and he's putting a ton of pressure. We've seen what he's able to do in so many different clips, and right now he's just bringing it to his opponent.
Yeah, definitely. He's right up against the wall now. He is in complete driving seat. 100-100. He's got all the advantages. But one thing to note, only one pellet left in that epic tack. That's all he's got. One shotgun shot to make it count. This could go against him. He has the health and shield advantage. But if he doesn't hit this next shot, or it comes down to his SMG, hasn't fully reloaded, this could be a problem. He's using an SMG to break the wall to try and take it, not the shotgun, because he has one shot, which means he has to land that next shotgun shot. Here is it. Can he land it? Can't find his way through. Never mind. He's fighting someone a bit more defensive. The builds are coming out. Sway maybe met his match in someone who can match his building speed. He can't find his way through. He's just trying to push in. There it is. He finds his way in. He doesn't need to land the tack shot. The SMG follows up and he takes him down. And yes, like you said, he is that creative player we're used to seeing fancy builds from, but he's playing competitively. He's been smashing out the duo cash cups. I think they've won 4 now, I believe, so he can definitely hang competitively.
Yeah, he's played in a lot of them. I know he qualified for the FNCS Duos Heats. He didn't end up making the grand finals, but he's been showing off an effort in competitive, and we've seen actually a lot of players end up doing that, whether it's content creators down in your own region, flipping over and playing some competitive, getting into those duo matches, or now the creative warriors coming out and showing force in some of the opens. It's been really impressive, and honestly, I enjoy it, because it takes time to kind of adapt that competitive mindset, but they also bring different things to it. And particularly in solos, I think you have a wider variety of what I call viable gameplay strategies that can legitimately and consistently lead you to surviving to the end game and provide you with opportunities to get eliminations. And they're proving to kind of stretch those bounds even farther, as Smith has a great elimination on Nerf. Not really a whole lot of pressure coming back from him. Some trade that is traded out from the Siphon, and he is going to be sitting 47 HP down from the top 200 threshold, but honestly, in a good spot right now, and not too far to rotate from zone.
Yeah, he's inside Craggy now. He's cleared it out. He's only got one player we can see to like his northwest there, but looks like he has no intention of pushing into Craggy. He's rotating straight past. Has another player coming up from behind. Needs to be careful though. He is close to that henchman, the antenna station up on the hill there behind them. He is between zone and that spawn, and that is a guaranteed heavy sniper. One of the henchmen there carry it. There is someone near him right now that has a heavy sniper. Recently been adjusted, so it does less damage to the body. Previously, 150 to the body was that kind of health ratio where if you maybe found a stack of minis on spawn, one big pot, you use them, you're still not above that body shot hit. That has now been adjusted down. What do you think about adjustments, Sundown? Are you happy with that and how it's changed out gameplay so far today?
I've talked about it a number of times. I think the bigger impact, honestly, is the swap from solos to duos. I think the heavy sniper was so prominent during the most recent season of FNCS because dropping in pairs, having double heavy snipers, and constant 2 pressure puts also 1-tap pressure on people, and then also being able to guarantee almost an RPG into a double heavy snipe, like, that brings just so much more pressure. Doesn't really impact its ability to take walls or getting hit with a headshot, but it saves you a mini when you get body shot, which in a lot of circumstances is way more impactful than people think.
Yeah, definitely. And just being at that threshold, 150 is such a common health threshold to be at off spawn. Just getting that one shot to the body, it was very irritating, and now it's been fixed out here. See how we can play. And like you talked about earlier with Sway, it's interesting to see how the skill-based matchmaking increases. They change their playstyle, people making more attempts to rotate. But Sway, one of those players with that aggressive playstyle, gets them through these lobbies that are maybe less skillful, just purely mechanical. But when they get into that final, right, if they make the top 100, Sway's got to handle those sharks. He's got to go up against the best of the best. And those games play out insanely differently. We're talking Storm Surge, which we haven't yet seen today. Things like that you need to take into account, which is so much game sense and knowledge of how you play it, not just the ability to take a fight and win it.
Oh, but Merc's setting a trap here for Taylor 1K. He's making a lot of noise. However, he needs to be careful of who's the predator and who's the prey, as Taylor is able to box up, because keep an eye on that bottom right-hand corner, because right now he wants to try and get shots and harpooning it out. However, shots are going to start coming from both directions, and right away a 33 tag, and he's going to get pounced on. Drum gun coming out right now. We've already seen how much work it can do. Taylor currently sitting on 0 elims, but can continue the trend of the drum gun just running through the mid-game Aussie.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen the trend of, you say the trend 100%. There is a trend here. The player with the drum gun. That's his first elimination, which means, again, Baller touched on it before, we have agency uncontested. These players are getting the drum gun relatively for free. Either that, maybe he took it and ran, but he's got the legendary suppressed AR. I think he must have got the vault and no one contested him. He's trying to find his way out of here. He has those minis and the big pot. Another advantage of those mythic POIs, having the vault, all that extra shield and meds. So he can now use those, sit down here, and there's a lot of players on the minimap. You talked about setting up the trap and you saw that third party happening. Maybe Strastic here wants to chill out knowing there's a lot of eyes on them. If he takes an aggressive fight, there's a very good chance they're going to both get shot at, and it's going to make things a lot harder to deal with. Chooses to rotate away.
Yeah, and you can already see a little bit, even with the open sense, a slight difference in regional playstyle between North America and EU. NA is a little more reserved, a little more about getting bogged down in a 1v1, but not always forcing it into a resolution, setting quick little traps and looking for picks rather than full sending across. And we do have 48 people left as we're moving into the second zone, starting to close.
Yeah, definitely. We've got two players outside Pleasant here, but again, look at the minimap. We have another player approaching. It's going to be a battle of the third parties. There's a lot of players live, 48, 3 of them here right now. Sim's trying to find his way through, and Justin and Grenades creeping up from behind. You see him crouching, trying to keep his audio profile as low as possible. Both players here just going to have a bit of a shield break and have both popped their big pots. Sim has 2 of those spare, 4 minis and 3 medkits. If this is a chip battle, if they're just going tat for tat and they're going to get their meds off, Sim is going to win it. His opponent needs to end this fight quickly if he wants to win this one.
But it looks like his opponent is playing with a pump, if I can tell. So, honestly, if I'm Simp, I just back out of that. Like, I don't want to take that fight in that circumstance and give him the opportunity to either hit a 200 if it's above that blue rarity, or in that circumstance, actually a 190 would send him back to lobby as well. So he just needs to hang out. And yep, and there, it is the blue pump. So he really does need to back off, because if he gets caught and loses all that, but meanwhile, Justin's in shambles. He needs to be pressing for this.
Yeah, definitely. He's only got even ammo as well. Only has 7 bullets left in the shotgun, 1 flopper, 4 minis. He's got 54 builds. It's enough to maybe carry it, but he's going to have to find an elimination some point in the game, and this is looking like as good of an opportunity as any. Coming up over the building, trying to find the angle. There it is. It connects. Just that one shot is enough. Grenades goes down, and look at the upgrade he has. He can pick up the tack if he chooses to. I think he might prioritize the pump. I thought I saw a heavy sniper. It could have slid back down the builds. There is a guaranteed heavy sniper here. There's also a burst rifle too. Justin choosing not to look for it. He just wants this and other elimination on Simp now if he can. But as we saw earlier, Simp has medkits. He has 3 of them. He can take this fight for as long as he needs. But then again, Justin might be putting the pressure on to try and finish it a little bit faster than that. Wall against wall. He's trying to find his way in, but Simp is just too fast with it. He's just so defensive. He just keeps pushing back. Never mind. Defensive turns into offense. He's coming out now. Pushes out 38 health, 72 shield. He has to launch pad away. Justin takes him out just like that. We didn't even see it. He went down that quickly, and Justin picking up all that loot now.
That's what we talked about, man. That's the danger of closing the gap when you're fighting tack against pump. Yes, the tack gives you more room for error. It has the higher rate of fire, and you can still hit those big headshots. You lose that big one-shot potential that you end up having with the pump. And yes, it's hard to hit, but these players don't generally have to worry about that level of execution. If you're playing here and competing in a tournament at this level and earning upwards of 85 plus points after your first couple of games, odds are good you can hit a 200 pump on a relatively consistent basis.
Definitely. And here we have the heavy snipe. Maybe we can see the green pump here doing some work. Heavy snipe takes the wall, chooses not to push through. Fight comes out, gets the cone in. Beautiful piece control. It's interesting to see the difference. We've seen a lot of that heavy snipe into the box run straight in with players with that drum gun and a bit of a stronger item. Here, Baruga choosing to heavy snipe the wall, take it, and have a little bit more control. He left himself in that position where he didn't fully engage in. He just made sure that he could then disengage if things went wrong, but things went very right for him. Gets him with the cone, takes it, and all this loot is now here is upgrading to the purple pump. His loadout is looking insane. Look at all the extra material he has now. He's checking it. He's on edge zone, but using that to tunnel in a bit if he needs it. And floppers, 2 of them. Is it 2 or 4? He's got such a good loadout. 6 floppers, sorry. It was 2 and 4. He's looking
I was about to say, I think he opted to leave the extra 2, but oh no, this is so smart. So what Bugwugga is doing right now is he calculated how much extra resources he had after the pick, and he's creating a tunnel, and he's able to stash the resources. So now he's going to have this entire tunnel to work in and effectively have double the amount of map pool, or however much he has left over. Plus, when he does eventually need to rotate, he can decide what he wants to take with him. This is something that you see Zayt and Saf do fantastically. It is one of their like signature traits, and it's so cool to watch somebody apply it.
Yeah, and pushing towards zone as well. Just going towards center zone at this point. We're at third zone right now. It's coming in. At the same time, if he gets there now, he's pushing more towards center. That's just a better position to be in. Even if zone pulls a different direction now, he is 5-6 squares closer, which he can move through freely and not have to worry about getting shot. And we can see there's a lot of people down on this edge. So the further you can get in and away from that safely is huge. I saw in that panning shot, we did have Sway down there. He is still in this lobby. He's one of the 38 still alive. And there is a lot of those players on this south side, which makes sense. A lot of the people in the map getting pushed up to the south side. Anyone fortunate enough to drop on that north side like we saw around Craggy, they should be in a good position, and Nayor takes him down, gets that easy elimination. That's his first one of the game, and it's almost no risk or reward for him.
Yeah, he was just able to kind of hang out, still holding that peak. The one thing I would say on Nair, the little criticism, you see how that little, oh, he just reset it now. When you have your little floor above you on the cone, make sure you reset that so people don't know where to peek or which angle you're looking from. When you leave the walls out, it lets them know which angle you're trying to look from, and they can be prepped with a heavy snipe. If you decide to go for an aggressive play, you're better off in most circumstances resetting the walls so you can be phased through it and just drop down. As you say, drop down exception, trying to drop down and put himself in a cone to put as many walls in between himself and the opponents as possible, because he has somebody lurking right above him as well as the rest of the lobby shooting at him.
He has no builds left now. No meds, that's it. He literally needs that brick to fall down onto his head to get enough builds to get up here. He was so shambles, he had no builds to even get up onto this layer. That was his very last build. And you see that because he knew he had less there. Instead of trying to build walls constantly around himself and using a lot of them, he was facing straight down and holding the cone. And that was enough to keep him alive. That extra 1 second long enough. That was so close for exception. And now his game looks entirely different.
And that's what we talk about, those impact frags. Yes, you shouldn't have got out of that situation, but because the other opponent wants the elimination, wants to try and get whatever he can, senses there's blood in the water, sometimes you're able to make the play and get out. And now you get a refresher, and that's why they call him Refresher, because I'm certain he was refreshed.
Definitely. Look at this edge though right now. Nayor here in an interesting position. There's so many players trying to make their way in on top of where there's already so many players. That northeastern side compared to this southwestern side is just insanely different. He's trying to find something to keep himself safe. He's got 1 mini, 3 big pots. He's got one. That's the second elimination we've seen him get now with just a couple of AR shots. And then this player's hit for whites. He has no shield either. Trying to push onto that loot pile. If he can keep applying this pressure, I think if one shot goes through these walls, this player's going to go down. He is dancing with death right now.
Yeah, you don't really want to end up in that situation, and honestly, sometimes the chips do just fall your way. Nair picking up some key elims with really, really good cost efficiency there. Only costing him a few bullets, but you can see he's always looking for the angles. Great 31 into a 62 there. Knowing the player wants to rotate on the diagonal, knowing the storm's going to force them in, just trying to find whatever he can. Good little reset there to find a new angle, but will he be able to finish it off as we now have our top 30?
Definitely. Ammo being a bit of an issue here now as well. Only has 23 bullets left in the AR and 44 in the SMG. It was enough. He might be able to go down and get that refresh because he really needs it. He doesn't need the mats. He needs the ammo right now. He's going to be firing blanks pretty soon unless he can try and get something out of that. But we see Crumbler. I think he managed to get through there, rat his way into that, and steal everything that Nayor just got from those eliminations. So he's getting those 4 points. He's getting those eliminations, but he's walking away with next to nothing from it.
Which is an impact elimination, but not a refresher, because the player is able to down there, and it puts you in this awkward situation where, do you go again or do you not? And here's not something you often see. Taylor is rocking both the Meowscles rifle and the Midas's drum gun, but along with a pump, that is a really hard-hitting loadout right now. The only thing, doesn't have any above 50 heals or shields, so going to be sitting on that effective 150 HP right now, and does have a sideways rotation. However, not too many players nearby, and it looks like he's aware of the one player, that's that red triangle in the bottom right-hand corner, who would threaten him. Instead, a nice little low launch that puts him right on the edge of zone.
Yeah, really good low launch there. Still has one in the inventory as well, so he can make next zone if it goes far across. Trying to build out a hard mass now and make his way through. Scares you to put in. Nice. Catches the player with the cone. That was beautiful building. Opens up the triangle edit. Within milliseconds, puts up the cone to block the player, holds him and gets that elimination. That was very, very well done. Because the speed to execute that is not an insanely complicated play. Just block off the enemy who's rotating past you. But to have the awareness and the speed to execute it is another matter. That was very well played by Taylor.
Super well done there. Heads up. And again, picks up a number of medkits, has the refresh down there. If he's able to break out some of these builds and create some room, he could potentially tunnel out and gain a lot more control over this space. And since zone is pulling in towards him, like, this could be very fortuitous for him. Sitting on 3 elims right now, top 25 just turned over. I mean, this is impressive.
Yeah, definitely. He's in a good position. He said about the loadout, it's very rare to have 2 of the mythic items. He has 1 for long range, and he also has that drum gun for close range. This loadout is looking really, really nice. He's on 105 points total now. He's trying to find his way through. He does get zone. We see rotating zone goes very close to him. All he's got to do is move a little bit further to front side. That's what he does. Trying to find himself a nice healthy layer, and he does it. No one else around him. He looks around. There's no one on that same sight line as him, and he can start pushing forward with zone. Choosing not to use the launch pad he has, or maybe he's going to wait here and then use it. We'll have to see. I think he's just going to stay on front side, though. He's looking really good at this point.
Yeah, it feels bad because you know that launch pad gets less and less effective as the circle kind of closes and you have less room to move horizontally. With that being said, this front side rotation worked fine. Only need to take a little bit of a big pot there. Now, as we get a look at the rest of the lobby, we have King kind of rotating in the front of the zone on the lower tarp. Taylor is the one up on, I think he's on absolute height right now. It doesn't look like, yes, he's on absolute height. Double tarping out and still has just under 70 builds right now. 111 points. I mean, he's in prime position. This is honestly his to lose as he hits a great 88 tag.
Definitely. I mean, those weapons he has, he can put them to use now. That 88 tag is so lethal. There he is, finds his way through. Don't think he picks that one up, but applies the pressure. He's just going to keep looking at that second height. Those players that are on that layer beneath him to make sure they don't contest him. Needs to be careful. There's a lot of ways you can take high ground back these days. We haven't heard the grappler in play. It could be being held by someone right now. Oh, I hope it wasn't held by that player. There goes straight down. We see a little bit of a box strat on low ground. I saw the box sneaking into the bush, going for the double cover. Taylor, short launching a bit further ahead. You said how unuseful it gets towards endgame, or less useful, but saving a few builds is massive at this point. He's playing it incredibly well so far.
It was really odd, but really, really, really good. It got him on a weird angle on the side of the tree. He was then able to catch the people who were trying to rotate on the edge of the zone and just rip them apart. He's using these mythic weapons to such incredible efficiency. Getting up in the face with the drum gun, and then anytime he's available to taking Meowskill's heavy AR and just raining shots back into zone, across the zone. As we said, this is his game to lose, but Crumbler, on the flip side of that, has the floppers, has the heavy snipe. He also has utility to challenge, and he's in the low ground. Heavy snipe, but doesn't get in and doesn't get a replace either, so kind of left just holding air there.
Yeah, definitely. Went for it, couldn't phase in, didn't have any way of phasing in. The player saw it coming, held the wall. 3 players alive. He's only got 6 builds, using the bush to try and hide his way through. Maybe can use that heavy snipe again here to try and find his way through. If his opponent's a little bit less aware this time, the spray comes from above. He hears his opportunity to maybe find his way into it. No, he is really finding it, playing it passively. He goes into old builds. Here it comes with the minigun spray. That will open it up. He's into his old builds here. He might not have any left. The stare at it comes through. Such a clean play, but no, he goes down. Crumbler wins this one. He's down to 59 health. He has the floppers, doesn't have any shield though. It's going to come down to 1v1, and we know Taylor has that loadout. He has the drum gun. He has the pump shotgun. He is hunting him down. He's trying to find this angle. He has every advantage he needs, but Crumbler not going down without a fight. A beautiful side jump into a heavy pump shot. He's even the battle on this one. 110 effective health for Taylor, trying to get the minis off, and now the players beneath him on the low ground doesn't have the builds to get up to him, and Taylor has to try and close this out from the position he's in. They're taking a breather, and he's trying to find this angle. He wants to play it slow. He knows the player on low ground must have next to no mats just from how he's playing, and he's trying to use the advantage of the high ground to close it out.
He's trying to do everything he can, and he has the positional advantage. The zone is moving back through a bunch of old builds. Taylor should know that he's in the better spot. He also, if he times it correctly, can pop a med kit on the edge of the zone. Crumbler, though, that's the one thing we called out. Versus the high versus the low in positioning. Crumbler had the floppers, he has the slightly better utility, whereas Taylor had the better medkit heals coming through and the stronger weaponry. He doesn't have the timing right now to get the medkit, so if he commits to a heal off, odds are good he will lose. Honestly, Crumbler's in the better spot here. Taylor's the one who's forced into a play. He drops down and he looks for the shot and he's not quite going to get it. Crumbler looking to find the angle, gets the right hand, drops him down to 50. You don't have time to pop the medkit. No bandage popping Zexro. Taylor's going to go down. Crumbler's going to get the victory royale. Well done from him on the low ground. Taylor tried to win it out from the high ground. However, he takes home the 8 eliminations, 32 points from him there. Also gets the second place points from the placement, so he comes out slightly ahead on the delta on points, but honestly, the victory screen always looks good.
That it does, but like you said, man, a second place, especially
wait, how would you know?
It's a little different. What? Okay. Ozzy, just, I don't know, say something here.
No, it's fine. Hey, I mean, at the same time, Sundown there, I heard he was talking about the bandage play as well. I think we're getting a bit of shade thrown around.
Yeah, we gotta get a little ribbon in there.
Yeah, we gotta get a little go in there. Yeah, no, but it was a good game. It was very interesting. I mean, that played out right to the very end. Had the medkit versus the flopper, he wouldn't have won the heal off. That was a backwards and forwards. That became right down to the wire.
That's right, dudes. Let's take a look at the standings coming out of NA East for day number 1 of the Open Tournament qualifier. We got Controller God 82 at the top, 172 points. Now we're seeing, like, these players start to move away from that top 10, right? Top 10 at the very bottom, 147 points. At the very top, 172. I mean, this is pretty much to be expected, right? You know, we will have these players that kind of pull away and pull ahead. But we still have a second game off, or a second day, excuse me. I mean, are you, like, watching this play, is it what you expected out of NA East?
I think so. It's very close to the top. Obviously, NA East is up there. It's always tit for tat. Who's better? EU, NA. They're the two big regions. That's why they have all the money on the line. Biggest prize pools, the most competitive. It's always going to be close to the top. But new point format, again, it's very, very close at the top there. Look at that. 6 points separating 20th from 11th. That is insane. That is 1.5 eliminations. So it's playing out similar to what I would expect, but we haven't seen this format before. We haven't really seen a tournament where it opens with this format and then all the big sharks are out. All the big players have already made it. They're sitting at home. They're watching right now. We touched on it. Some of them are coaching. Bizzle taking the chance to coach Sway. I want to see where he's going there, whether he's still up there popping off. So it's playing out similar to what I'd expect, but it's super, super entertaining. Are there any names that you've seen so far, Sundown, that you're picking out to maybe come out on top tomorrow?
Honestly, there's someone here who I'm not super surprised about. I've seen Newell before, the Merkin player. He was popping in and out. Like, he's been doing a pretty good job. Anybody in Controller right now, they've been able to back up what they've been saying. The top player in EU, which CRI, I believe, is playing as, then Unit over in ME. So all those guys have generally been showing out pretty hard. It's tough to give them credit. Again, we'd love to give you guys credit, but now popping on over to Brazil, we have Swift hanging out up top, and again, Brazil started an hour earlier, so I believe these are final or getting closer towards their final queues. You can see now Ghost Viking also hanging out in there. You have Enzino, so a couple players who we've seen before, Luca as well. Honestly, I'm super excited for when we do get to see what comes out of Brazil from the finals. We're not going to be covering it ourselves, but it's one of my favorite regions to end up watching, and this is the final results from day 1. And as Zeke said, again, don't forget, there are 2 days, and for day 2, you reset back to 0, you get to try again, and then we're going to add them all up, and then we'll see who will advance through to join that top 600 group, and who will compete next weekend and get their shot against the best of the best and some of those former FNCS champions.
That's right, and this will be going for the next few weeks here, Fortnite fam, so please tune in every weekend, check it out. It's going to be a great time. There's going to be a lot of names, and as we kind of pull these top 100 from every region that are making it through the next week, that's when we're going to start to see these more familiar names that you're used to seeing across these regions, right? But also, we want to, like, the reason this happens is so there's more opportunities for players to kind of rise up and show their talent here across the regions. Maybe names that you haven't necessarily seen before, and that's cool, you know, getting to see that there's other players out there that are just insane, that are slayers at the game, and are just as good, if not even better. Someone like, you know, Mage, who didn't necessarily get an invite going into next week, he was like, all right, sick, here's a 20 bomb. How about that? What now? It's like, okay, yeah, I'm pretty down. I think you'd probably agree, right, Ozzy?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we just checked out in Brazil there. It kind of gives him that king vibe, right? Like those players who maybe come in a bit more aggressive, they're coming in hot and they're dropping those bigger limbs. Like they can maybe back that up in big tournaments. We always assume that everyone's going to change their playstyle when they go against the big pros, play it slow, and maybe play for that storm surge. But again, we've seen players like King who just full send it still in those lobbies, and they can cause some massive upsets. Week 1, the pros got their invites straight in, but they have to defend themselves. They get the reboot round like everyone else, but they've got to perform. If you come up against some of these underdogs and you go down to them, you have no excuse here. So I don't know, I'm interested to see how it goes.
So that's a really good point. And you know, because if you are like a Benji, right, or a Mongrel, and suddenly you got someone that comes out of nowhere and does dethrone you and starts to put up more points than you, because like we have to look at times where these mythic POIs are being uncontested, right? Like, but then you turn around and someone like Benji may get contested by one of these underdogs, as we're calling them. You know, this is something very possible. And then you're looking at like, okay, well, I didn't make it through, but this other person, someone like Carrot, who makes it through as that #1 seed. So we'll have to see how things kind of shake out for a lot of these players. But dudes, it's time to go back in the game. So gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you very much, Zeke. And now we'll hop on in with Bully Don't Care over at Steamy Stacks, and already checking the bottom right-hand corner. Let's play Count the Triangles. However, Bully eliminates one of them right away, making our job a little bit easier. Taking it down from 7 people in the frame to 6, and getting himself off to a good start. Honestly, had me forgetting what game we were playing real quick. That might have looked like the S&D version as fast as he tapped them off there. Looking to get a second one,
definitely.
too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of players here. I wouldn't expect Steamy to be this contested, but here it is. Like, it's a bit of a pistol battle. Like you said, here it comes. They're going down the line. They're looking straight down the tunnel at each other, see if they can find something. He only has 5 builds, so he needs to make them count. Oh, takes a very heavy shot. Goes down to 19. He has the bandages. He has the big pot. Will he have time to use them, though? Can he pop a bandage, Sundown?
Not popping a bandage. He's manning up as well, just sprinting straight towards his opponent. He knows better. Gonna pop those double shields off again. Honestly, to get right up. Should be able to hit that 175 threshold after we were playing real quick. That might have looked like now we're down already, just like that. 7 people started, only 4 to get a second one too.
Yeah,
interesting
definitely.
decision.
I mean,
honestly, one thing I want to talk about real quick, just backing up from the action. What do you think in terms of landing on the outside of the map or landing interior
down the tunnel at each other, see if they can find something? I think it depends massively. They definitely have their own strengths. We're seeing those players that are dropping at those mythic POIs that maybe are further away, like the grapple and the sky they are. But they're not playing out as much as those players that are dropping a bit more central that seem to have
not popping a
that
bandage.
control.
He's manning up as well, just sprinting straight towards his opponent. He knows better. Pop the double shield again. Honestly, had right up. Should be able to hit that 175 threshold after we were playing real quick. Now we're down already, just like that. 7 people started, only 4 to get a second one.
Be POI versus going somewhere that's maybe safer with a little bit less loot.
Oh my god, takes him the victory royale. Well done from him on the low ground. Taylor tried to win it out from the high ground. However, he takes home.
Is pushing forward on the Bully. Maybe thinks he's weak, but he's got the minis on. He's got the big one. He's like, I'm not weak. I'm pushing you now.
But dudes, it's time to go back in the game. Gentlemen, take it away.
And it looks like we got Fox Heavy trying to set a trap very much for Zeke, and now we'll hop on. Will there be a reaction? 31 blue comes out right away. Here comes the build battle. Does already checking the bottom right-hand corner. Let's play Count the Triangles. However, Bully eliminates one of them right away, making our job a little bit easier. Taking it down from 6 people or 7 people in the frame to 6, and getting himself off to a good start. Needs to be conscious of his mats. 44 in there. Already hard mats coming out. Trade does not go to his favor. He takes 48. Kira takes 29. Does sneak an SMG shot in there, but right now it just comes down to a battle for the top. Double replace, but a good ramp flip to cover and disengaging all the way down. Nope, just down 2 boxes and into the side. Trades another shot out, so winning there, but the 90 is going to be huge. This is what we talked about, kind of those pump battles, giving a lot of room, and unfortunately, a poor door edit into instant interact will be the end of Kira Fishy, as Foxebi will walk away with that one, and walks away with a lot of effective shields.
Yeah, definitely. He's got Weeping to himself now as well. Got plenty of mass to refresh there. But again, we've gone from PY to PY, so I do want to get your thoughts on the topic we were conversing, though. Like, do you prefer the PYs? Do you prefer these maybe unnamed locations with a more tactical loot path where you probably won't run into enemies so you can play it a little bit smarter? What is your go-to if you were going to play one of these tournaments, Sundown?
put me in the middle of the map on a scavenger route and don't let me ever see anyone until endgame. I want to fire my 500. I want to sit in the middle. I want to get my Storm Surge tags, and I want to play for super late and catch people rotating. I'm a big fan of eliminating as much RNG as possible, and there's ways that you can route your routes so you don't end up in a situation like this where you're pinned between two people and having to burn a bunch of your stuff and you don't have the utilities you need. Porring's getting just destroyed by Provika Rooney there. I mean, Porring's we've seen a lot of. He's been all over the cash cups and stuff, but we talked about it. You can't get caught outside of these spots. And Risky Reels, Frenzy, and the Agency all right there. Yes, you're super central, but there are tons of people here every game. If there's ever not people here in a game, then odds are good there is just something wrong with the lobby. I don't know.
I think if there's no one here, you probably had a lobby like we saw earlier with Mage, where he started here and then just cleared from the center out. So you said you want to land center map, go for that scavenging route and not run into anyone, but that's why the Mythic POIs have been so interesting to the addition of competitive right now, because some of them are central. You have Agency literally smack bang in the middle with arguably the strongest gun in the game right now, the drum gun, which we've seen get put to use today. So the center island, center map is actually not that safe, and that player that drops Agency has the luxury of almost always being in first zone, or at least somewhat close to it. They can use that extra time to come find you, eliminate you, knowing you have the worst loadout than them.
Yeah, that'd be fair. I would say kind of the safer side would be eastern of Agency. As soon as you get outside and past Fatal, anything kind of down that strip in the Gorge area, that's personally where I like to play a lot of. But also, there's a bunch of scavenger routes around Loot Lake, and the fact that there's so many fishing spots as well gives you a viable option to be kind of that dirty flopper player hanging out in the back looking for a super safe rotation, like maybe finding yourself on a campfire and just like really waiting it out. I'm a big fan of avoiding as many of those fights as possible, but also I am not nearly as good as a lot of these players. So, like, if these guys take a mid-game fight, they're able to win some of them. If I take a mid-game fight, I am going to lose horribly 999 times out of 1,000. However, as these players do as well, everyone should play to their strengths, particularly in a tournament mode. Some of these players are consistently looking not to fight till they get in the top 25, then they go all man mode. Some, as we see right now, are just looking to run at any human being they see before they even get any damage or information on them.
Yeah, pretty sure a different playstyle when you're someone going for a scavenge mission, not fighting anyone. This guy is feeling confident, he wants to fight. He has that legendary tack though, and he gets in the box and uses it. We've seen a lot of tack versus pump today. We've gone backwards and forwards. There's been a lot of differing opinions of the casters on which one might be the best, how you use them. But again, you said play to the strengths, and I think that applies to shotguns too. You have that purple pump, you know you can go for the one pump. We have Hard Find Lover here with a legendary tack. He knows he can tack that wall exactly like he did. He hit the wall, phased through it because he had the stair at the bottom, and then had another bullet to be able to follow up with. If he has the pump, that's not possible. You pump that wall, you're in the box, that's great, but what are you going to do now? You don't have the ability to fire. You have a longer cooldown on that pump fire rate.
Oh, and tough first shot there from Proof. Not quite able to find it. Good jumping pattern coming out. And yeah, I'm the same fan. Like, I think the attack is more versatile and it gives you more options. I'm a fan of versatility. And right here, great shot. Great shot from Proof. I was talking about how that's super dangerous because you're always going to be exposed and not covering yourself. And also, it looks like there's a number of spots where that's only really held up by 1 or 2, maybe max 3 builds. And they're up very high with a number of people rotating in on the edge of the zone. One thing to know if you're new to competitive Fortnite or just watching for the first time, the edge of the zone is where most of the action occurs as the circle is closing because people will take damage when they're out there. They get forced back in. So at the start, if you're moving centrally and you keep going, odds are less good that you would encounter somebody because they are being driven by the storm towards that edge. So players who are already there and caught fighting, Proof is able to then rotate in and take advantage of it. That's why as you look in the bottom right-hand corner, you see 6 or 7 players who are on top of each other, effectively in the same 3 or 4 grid spaces, even though we're 10 minutes in the game and there's 46 people left. We have 25% of the lobby, 30% of the lobby all over in one area.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said as well, if you're on that edge and you're building up very, very high, it just makes you a target. You know there's people around you. You know they're getting pushed past you. It's not like you're in some secluded edge where no one else is. There's at least probably, I reckon there would have been at least 10 people that could have seen that build fight because it went so high and could have done something about it. And Proof was the one with the loadout to do something about it. He has a good little rotate now through. He's pretty much white lining it. As you can see, there's that white line. That's the most direct line to the next storm. Some players will choose to take that fastest route in, but also sometimes use your terrain, as you see Proof here doing, going for the high ground a little bit, give you more visibility, and you get you a better way in. Bully don't care. Obviously did make it out of Steamy, maybe used the vents, and now he's gotten himself here in a Apostle with on the back foot. He's trying to find his way in with his green SMG, but it's the blue tack that does all the work. And look, it looks like he's gonna be able to upgrade to, I think it's an epic tack, and then he has the legend, he has the mythic heavy AR. This is a solid loadout.
Yeah, and if this is the Bully I'm thinking of, he is a super aggressive player, has had some really pretty, like, I don't want to say solid results, but definitely nothing to kind of scoff at, and he's been consistently getting better over and over again. So to see him already sitting at 145 right now and offering up a lot of control right now, it's pretty impressive. I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to pop off this game.
Yeah, definitely. He's got the loadout for it as well, and he is playing quite aggressive. I know who you're talking about, Kanada's old duo Bully. I'm assuming it's the same person. If so, has found some issues finding teammates, but solos, looks like it's going to be his thing. He wants to mark his he wants to stamp his mark on it and make him cement himself as one of the best solo players, trying to get himself up there. 146 points so far in a nice position. He's on a good edge of zone here. He's got a few players around him, but they're all very spread out. So he can do a lot with where he is right now, but he's just going to hunker down. He's getting towards those higher lobbies. No, I say hunker down, but maybe Echo pushing a little bit close, but I don't think there's going to be an engagement here. I'd be very surprised. They'd have to be a very aggressive player.
I mean, some of them exist on NAEs, particularly during the open rounds. They like to complain about it a lot. As far as I know, absolutely everybody who plays on NA East is either a griefer, a stream sniper, or a controller player. I don't think anybody else actually exists. With that being said, you can see here now, they tend to, like, they're playing a lot. I feel like it's a little bit more calculated than we saw from Europe. The numbers are roughly the same as which it tends to be in solos. With that being said, though, I mean, every single one of these fights, it seems to only really end up being because people get bogged down in these 1v1s and then somebody else comes through. Bulla being the advantage there, taking down that one opponent and then able to try and get the other 1, 2, 3, 4 back-to-back 31 tags. He knows that player has less than 40 effective HP, does see a quick little animation go through. It looked like that was a mini, but also might have been a slurp fish, so he needs to be careful.
Yeah, he's got the legendary pump in hand. That fishing hole just delivered him a slurp fish and a legendary pump. Pretty much the two best things you can get back-to-back out of a fishing hole. So Bulla maybe feeling lucky right now, feeling like he wants to push that luck and push this fight at the same time, but building themselves up nice and high, making himself quite third party. But when he gets up against the wall, misses the pump shot. He needed to land that, never mind the green AR. He had 5 bullets left. That was it. That's what he had to finish his player off with, and Bulla does manage to pull it off. We have Orbit Rev coming up from beneath, but I don't think he's going to push in there. That was a very big pickup. We're back over to Bully in his position, looking like not much has changed.
And that's good for him right now. He was in a spot where he was just waiting on information, needed to see where zone would pull. He doesn't have anybody who is behind him, which is good. So he's going to have priority on everybody who's rotating in front. But that also means he needs to be careful as he's moving past his other players. 3 straight 44 tags means he doesn't have to worry about that player anymore. And he's just going to highline it straight to zone. As you said, riding that white line, taking the most direct path possible, but also jumping and looking around behind him. That way he's able to get whatever information possible. Ooh, 88 into 44, not missing right now.
Yeah, definitely. And again, that's the interesting thing about this format. We talk about all the best players or the good players qualifying straight into that week 1 or being invited, straight into week 1. But Bully here has probably a tumultuous history when it comes to team game modes. He's had a lot of really good teammates, some of them being like TSM Kanada, but quite often not being able to stick with them. But he's performed very, very well in stack solos. He did very well at DreamHack. So maybe he's trying to stamp himself and be like, look, not doing too well in team game modes, but I'm here for solos. Stack solos are back, and I'm going to make a name for myself. So he is one to look out for in this lobby, 100%.
And I think there's a lot to be said for game mode preference, particularly when it comes to Battle Royale. And Bully just right there, just making that Meowscle's heavy rifle look so good. That reset time, just being able to keep it down, consistently putting his shots on target. I mean, putting himself in a position to catch the people when rotating is really showing his level above the rest of the people. I assume at this level that 99% of people are going to hit their shots, but putting yourself in a position so you're able to hit those shots is key, and Bully is doing that over and over again.
Yeah, definitely. They've got the aim there. Maybe if it's like an aim duel or something like that, going into creative can hit their shots. But again, you're right. It takes game sense and knowledge to get yourself in the position to take those shots and not put yourself at risk. If you stand out in the open for too long trying to take your shots, you're open again. You're liable to heavy snipes. You're liable to Bully with that AR, which can pretty much triple shot you like it did just there. Rocket's coming out. See if he can try and hold on to this one. He has big pot spare, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get it off before this fight starts. Has the 2 floppers too, but he has a good loadout of his own. If this player pushes into this fight, he is definitely not one to mess with right now. He's knocking him down. There it is. The RPG into the legendary tack follow-up hits him for 78. That was beautifully done, and now he's knocking him out. And this has changed pace incredibly quickly. Bourne is now on the front foot, trying to find his way in. Another legendary RPG shot with the tack follow-up, finds himself into the box, and there it is. The blue AR finishing him off and doing the work, and finishes it off just in time as someone else comes in and wants a piece of this.
Like we said, you're getting bogged down in these fights. If you can't resolve them quickly, get your refresher, and then establish the fact that, hey, I'm a threat, somebody else is going to come poking. We've seen Jaith in a lot of games as well. This is what we talk about when you're starting to see names you recognize. Both Kangarna, Bourne, and Jaith are players who are very frequently around in a lot of these scrims, in a lot of these games. They're going to be able to put shots towards each other. And as the lobbies begin to thin out, I see Reb over there. I see Iconic over there as well. As we sweep around the side, Bulla and Armani and Shot. Lots of players who we've seen before have been on these leaderboards, play in all the scrims, play in the cash cups. As now we swing on over to Baby Myrtle, who's in a decent position. Again, we talk about it when you check the bottom right hand corner. You want to see which triangles are looking towards that current white triangle that has the white line on it, and then which ones are behind them, because then you know whether the rotation path is clear and who's trying to fight them. So you know this is a clean 1v1 right now, and Myrtle drops out a great 99 pump shot to know he has the advantage. A little bit of a flub there with the door into insta interact, covering off the side and trying to find an angle to shoot. Wants to keep pressure, insta-phase into the wall, getting sprayed from the other side. Finds a 37 tag, but not quite able to clean it up. Needs to get the finish here. Doesn't want the opponent to get it. However, he will be the one to get the resources either way when the player falls, but it's all about the points right now.
Yeah, definitely. See how smart his positioning is. He's kept himself on this constant north side. So that player third-partying to the south, he's made sure, Baby Myrtle has made sure that his enemy is between him and that third party. So he's trying to take these walls while he's constantly having his enemy pressured in the back. He's put himself in the best position to win this one. You can use third parties to your advantage. They're not always bad. In this situation, Baby Myrtle is able to apply this pressure because of the third party, but never mind. Enemy comes back, hits him hard, has that tack. Oh, he jumps up above the half-edited rotated stair, jumps back down and hits him in the toes, and it's enough. Picks up that legendary tack, and he has the meds to make it back from this one now. Has the minis, has the big pot, has the floppers. That was a very, very well played fight.
And now I would anticipate that we've seen most of these fights resolved, and as I say that, we switch over to the other side and see Seabass is the one kind of getting chosen over here. Some spray happening. I would anticipate, since everyone's inside the zone, that it calms down. There's 30 people left. We'll see a half in, half out zone. Everyone right now, theoretically, should be doing absolutely nothing. They're all safe. They shouldn't be burning utility. There's no need to look for storm surge tags. Unless you have a heavy sniper, you should just be setting yourself up and waiting for the next information. And we should see everyone start to rotate based off of that. And 30 for 50-50 is what we started to see towards the end of Europe as well. So we're getting into kind of those more stacked lobbies. And, ooh, Bourne pulling it right away. Is he going to be able to hold it, though? He does have the rocket launcher. The question is, does he go up higher? And do people opt to try and break him down?
Yeah, so see, as soon as he gets that half-half zone, which is that zone where you can see on the screen if you're not used to competitive Fortnite, half the current zone is in the storm, and half of it is where it's a safe zone right now. So Born is in a great position, but worth noting too, there are 2 launch pads center of this zone right now, which have just fallen. That means there's going to be 2 launch pads there. They can use those to rotate. Anyone who's on that north side now knows you see them all going for it. They're all bunched up around those airdrops because they want those launch pads. That's a free ticket, or hopefully a free ticket, straight into this half-half if Born's not watching. He's got that high ground. He has the legendary suppressed AR, and Jace goes down, one of the big names in this game that you were talking about. The rocket comes through, and he has 5 more of them for the rest of the lobby.
And 5 is enough to do a significant amount of damage from here. However, as Born saw, he wants to go down and try and get a refresher. Has the grappler now too. And I mean, he's in a really good spot. We talk about lobbies that are yours to win. And right now, I would say he's pretty close to this being his. The only consideration is not having enough mats to maintain high ground. However, that's alleviated a little bit by the fact he has the grappler, which means he can drop down and kind of go rebuild and retake other high grounds much easier than every other player in the lobby. Again, there's only one of each of those mythic weapons. As you see Bugsy pick up a double elim in the feed. Bugsy, the controller player out here, making plays, the one who shows up to every single land, always making plays. He's been there before in putting up 2 elims in the late game. Would not be surprised to see him among the top 600.
Yeah, definitely. Going back to his loadout on high ground, he has that position where he has the grappler, so not only does he have it, no one else does, and he has those rockets in the inventory. He can use that to suppress down anyone trying to go for height. If you're building up to him, he drops a quick rocket on it, you're going back down to the ground, or at least down a few layers. The biggest risk he had on that high ground was someone with the grappler, and that has been eliminated. Even if he doesn't use it now, the fact that no one else can is huge. These mythic items have changed the way the game is. You know now, no one else in the lobby has the grappler because you have it. It is the only one there. But we have another player on a decent high ground here as well. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it because I'm almost positive.
Enamorado del Val.
Well, there you go. Unfortunately, I'm not experienced too much with a lot of Spanish people down this area. I hope that was Spanish. I'm very far away. Please excuse my ignorance. We have Sparkle on the front side though. Hey, let's go. Perfect. I'm still assuming I'm right. Sparkle on the front side now. He has the green pump. He has the epic AR. He's trying to find his way through. Very, very congested around him here. This is a pretty stacked lobby here going on to rotating, and they're all trying to scramble to get into the next zone.
Because that's all that matters. We talk about the moving zones. It drives a lot of action. It's kind of the core of the late competitive Fortnite. This is where you learn it. This is what Zone Wars is all about and what people practice for. It stemmed from the Turtle Wars. It's these types of situations where players need to get close to each other, and Sparkle gets close to Bugsy, takes him out, rips him apart. Sorry for the caster curse, but Sparkle is shining bright right now, doing everything it can. Sub Bully also still lighting it up in the Elim feed. Baby Myrtle goes down to Nounsy. Sparkle also then immediately trades down. Great shot on Nounsy who's trying to wake through. Then Sparkle gets hit and gets dropped so low by Born that he's not able to pop the floppers. Born was the grappling player on high ground. We said this was his game to lose, but now he's stuck with a minigun against him and then a brick wall on the other side. It's going to be tough to close this one out.
I have never seen such an aggressive rotate. These players are rotating, elimination, rotate, elimination. This is insane. They are not prioritizing the rotate at all. They're just going for eliminations while they rotate. The wall breaks as he goes for the grapple, and unfortunately, he catches air and he falls. He's only got 25 builds left, but again, he has the grapple to try and make his way back up there. Made it inside the top 10. Let's see if he can re-secure the high ground. He's going up for it. No, he chooses not to take it. He knows he doesn't have the mass to hold it. He's going to wait off a little bit longer, but he is lurking for it. He's staying so close to high ground. One grapple, and he's up there. He's making sure they know that he's still here. But looks like Foxebi is the one who has it right now.
And we got to see Foxebi, one of those early fights. It was so incredibly close, but he's turned it now into an 8th circle. High ground control. 7 people left. 6 people left. As Enamorado del Val takes out controller. Babakaruni takes down Enamorado del Val right on the edge of the storm, though, because of it. Born taking over, however, does still have one more flopper. Gonna need to put it to use now, and then decide, Up or down? Up or down? He decides to go up. Player blocks him off right away. 4 more seconds. 3 more in the storm. Gets back into the zone, and now he has high ground control, but 3 builds. 1 build left after he doubled off there. Don't necessarily agree with that choice, but he's going to be able to rain down some shots. The question is, how do you get down now? Are you able to execute with that grapple? You can't catch yourself. There's no water falling. So are you able to find shots? How do you close this out as we flip on over to Iconic on the low ground?
It was there. The zone was going across old builds. I think he might be able to grapple onto that high ground once zone goes far enough, or he's going to have to go for the Hail Mary, drop down, grapple, back up. It's very scary. We saw it earlier today in EU. Oh, the shots coming out from below. Iconic finding his way through with that epic AR. Only 30 bullets left, but it should be enough if he can find his way through. Green tack in hand. He's not using it to break. He's just using the pickaxe to chip his way in. He has 2 builds and he's saving them. It does. I'm pretty sure the zone went back over these old builds, so I think high ground was able to grapple on top of this if he can. He's on ultimate loadout trying to find the angles. The pressure comes back out on him. 60 health, 50 health, 40 health. He needs it. He does. He finds it. Tops him back up, but he gets hit again. It's constant action on the low ground now. 26 health. He gets shots in the back. I'm pretty sure that's it. He does. He drops down, and Bourne is able to close it out with no builds on the high ground with that grappler. That was enough. He kept it up there, and he came down at the perfect time to close it out. Sundown, did you expect it to close out that way, or did you think he was going to lose it on the high ground there?
I mean, we said it was Bourne's game to win there. That quick little wall replay shot, the double siphon at the end. I mean, Siphon and competitive Fortnite allow for just so many quick little bang plays, particularly in the storm there. He had no option but to go for that play, but that doesn't make it any more spectacular that he was able to close it off. Unfortunately for him, he only walks away with second place as Bourne. Zeke was able to just close it out. He had all the tools, the positioning. I mean, it's a good execution to finish it off, but, I mean, it wasn't quite as flashy.
I mean, still though, second place, and those flicks from Iconic were disgusting. Before we do head off, Ozzy, I want to give you a very quick moment here. Quick final thoughts before we go.
I mean, it was amazing. That was so cool. This was my first official cast, so thank you so much for having me. I'm not making it about me, but genuinely, thank you. I'm so excited to see Fortnite competitive back. I mean, I'm back tomorrow as well, but that was it. NA's closing out. It's super exciting. These games have been aggressive, but they've still been really good. I've been loving them. I'm super excited.
Well, we'll be back for more action tomorrow. Fortnite fam, stay tuned. We'll see you guys on the other side of this break. Don't forget, 10 games tomorrow, 10 games today. We'll see you guys after this break.